Is Andrew Yang surviving his frontrunner status in the race for New York City's mayor? Andrew Yang is known as being the underdog running for president in the Democratic primary in 2020. But now, many Democratic voters know who Yang is, and it's put him at the front of the pack in New York City. But that also means he has a target on his back, and a lot of the sharpest criticisms are being thrown at Andrew Yang. So what does that mean for his status as a candidate? Well, a recent poll has come out and it has revealed that Yang has a commanding lead. Now, there's some caveats that we need to understand. So first, this is a ranked choice voting, so keep that in mind. The poll revealed that Yang has 28% of the vote, whereas the second place finisher in the poll, Adams, he placed 17%, and then third place received 13% of the vote. One of the issues with this poll is that it was conducted early on in the campaign at the beginning of January. So a lot of things have changed since then. But this poll was only just released a couple of days ago. One of the reasons that the poll outlined for Yang's support is that people in New York City simply know who he is. 84% of the people polled said that they had heard of Yang, whereas only 66 and 60% know his closest competitors by name. So what does this mean going forward? Well, the recent debate between Andrew and the other competitors showed that they do see Andrew as a threat. In the debate, the sharpest criticisms and sharpest questions from the other candidates were levied toward Yang, who was accused of having a so-called bro culture on his campaign and having non-disclosure agreements, which Yang said he's now no longer using NDAs in his current campaign, but the criticism was still levied at Yang. So in terms of Yang's popularity, it certainly is going to take a hit as the other candidates try to catch up with them, and they throw whatever kind of criticisms that they can, and certainly he is not a perfect candidate, and so there's certainly a lot of criticism that will likely stick going forward. And so it will be important for the Yang campaign to keep in mind that they shouldn't take their frontrunner status for granted, and they need to make sure that they're engaging with these criticisms and taking them to heart, and making sure that they improve how his campaign is being conducted going forward. And for me, the most important thing that Yang can do in this regard is making sure that he's sticking with what made him popular in the first place, which is his ideas. Yang is a very charismatic candidate, but I think what attached a lot of folks to Yang was not just his attitude, but more importantly, the policies that he was putting forward, such as universal basic income. So if Yang can show the feasibility behind getting a greater share of cash assistance to those who need it most and fixing some of the infrastructure problems and other issues in New York City, I think ultimately that's going to be the most important thing for people deciding who they're going to vote for mayor, is whether or not they're going to get things done. And that's what this poll also showed. So I'm curious what everybody thinks about the race in New York City. I find it really interesting. I've never followed New York City politics until Yang got involved, so I'm curious what everybody else thinks, if they also believe that Yang can keep up his frontrunner status going forward. Let me know in the comments.